Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This time we are looking at a coward who wasn't. The man was called Charles Coward and he rescued Jewish prisoners from the Nazis and became known as the Count of Auschwitz. By 1943, after his capture at Dunkirk, he had made several escape attempts but was always recaptured, and this is a brief video just looking at his story. He was born in England in 1905 and joined the British Army in 1937. During the Second World War, or rather the first part of the Second World War, he served in the 8th Reserve Regimental Royal Artillery and at the beginning of the war was a Quartermaster Battery Sergeant Major. He was part of the British Expeditionary Force sent to reinforce France in 1939. They were sent into action in May 1940 when the German forces invaded. After only a few days, though, the British and French were forced to retreat towards the French coast. The Germans attacked the French port of Calais on May the 21st, and the Allies were driven back towards Dunkirk, where most managed to escape to Britain. However, Coward surrendered and was taken prisoner, and was now forced to sit out the rest of the war. The one advantage that he had was that he spoke German, and it's quite probable that this is what kept him alive throughout the war. Before even getting sent to his first prisoner of war camp, he twice managed to escape. But after being jailed, he made another 7 successful escape attempts. However, every time he was recaptured before he could leave German-occupied territory. But one almost worked when he left the POW camp dressed as a German soldier. He'd been hurt in the escape and had entered a hospital for treatments, and since he was fluent in German, he was treated like any other German soldier. In fact, it was so successful that while there he was awarded the prestigious Iron Cross. But he was soon discovered to be an impostor and sent back to prison. But this time the Germans had had enough of his antics and sent him to a more secure concentration camp, Auschwitz. There were 2 sections to Auschwitz. One was the death camp at Birkenau, where prisoners were sent for killing, but the other was the work camp Monowitz, which was divided into 2 sections, one for Jews and one for non-Jews. The ones at Monowitz were slave labourers, which were slowly being worked to death, producing goods for the war effort. Now, Coward was appointed a Red Cross liaison officer while he was at the camp, and he was put in charge of supplying supplies such as food and medicine. He was even allowed to write letters home to his friend William Orange back home in Great Britain, but unbeknown to his German guards, William Orange was a code name for the British War Office, and Coward used the messages to tell them about everything that he saw at Auschwitz. It didn't take long for him to start helping people. First of all, he began smuggling extra food to the hungry prisoners. Then one day he received a smuggled letter from a Jewish doctor asking for help. He'd been born in Germany but had fled to England after Germany invaded Czechoslovakia. He'd later joined the crew of a British merchant ship as a physician, but was captured after the Nazis attacked the vessel. And he should have been in the POW section of the camp, but instead was put into the Jewish camp. Coward answered the call and managed to sneak into the Jewish section and look for the doctor, but even though he couldn't find him, he did witness the horrific conditions and vowed to help them. He came up with a plan. So what he did was he would use chocolates from the Red Cross parcels to bribe the German guards, and in exchange, the guards gave Coward access to the corpses of non-Jewish prisoners. There were nightly marches of weak Jewish workers from the work camp, and a few healthier workers sometimes snuck into the nightly processions but during a daring but dangerous move, and the healthy men would drop out of the march and hide in ditches. Coward gave the men the clothes and papers from the corpses, and then the corpses were placed in the ditches wearing the Jewish workers' uniforms. To the Nazis counting the dead bodies, it appeared everyone was accounted for, and by his own estimates he saved up over 400 lives this way. He was later given, at the end of the war, he was called to testify at the Nuremberg war crimes trials, and in detail described the conditions at Auschwitz, the treatment of Allied prisoners of war and Jewish prisoners, as well as the location of the gas chambers. Coward died in 1976, but not before he became the first British national to be named Righteous Among the Nations and have a tree planted at his honour at the Holocaust Museum for his efforts to save Jewish lives. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at his life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.